Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So I want to go through an article here today about Elon Musk versus the dragon, which is pretty cool. William Law Dragon Savitt, who is, I guess, heading up Twitter's legal defense team when it comes to the entire saga of the Elon Musk Twitter breakup thing. I'm going to read through this article, give a few thoughts about what I'm thinking about this, and actually respond to some other people on YouTube who I think might be a little optimistic about Elon Musk's chances in this lawsuit. So anyway, let's take a look. So this is from Politique République.substack.com, or however you want to say that. That should be the way it's pronounced, since it would be French. Anyway, the title is Twitter's lawsuit reveals Elon's lenders may have backed out of the deal. That would be specifically Morgan Stanley. If that is the case, the merger agreement allows Musk to walk away from the deal to buy Twitter. Can Twitter's law dragon convince the court to make Elon Musk come up with the $13 billion in debt that Morgan Stanley was to provide? Only time will tell. Then we got a picture of Law Dragon. Anyway, and sorry, I captured this on my phone, so it's a little bit kind of goofy. Anyway, so on to the text of it. We've got 11 minutes after market close today, Peter Walsh Jr. filed a 62-page complaint, which you can read if you want, on behalf of William Law Dragon Savitt against Elon Musk and the shell companies he formed to sign the merger agreement with Twitter. Savitt's prayer for relief was simple. The court should order Elon Musk to buy Twitter. By the way, prayer is an actual legal term. It's kind of crazy, but that is legal stuff is very oddly, very archaic, I guess. But anyway, the prayer is for relief, I guess. So anyway, that's what the author says here. Savitt persuasively rejects each of the reasons Mike Ringler cited, and that would be Elon Musk's lawyer, cited as grounds for termination of the merger agreement with Twitter in his letter dated July 8th. He admits that Twitter believed Elon Musk to be an out-of-control madman, which is pretty wild accusation, when they agreed to sell their company to him, which is also pretty weird. So basically, out-of-control madman will still sell the company to you. So that's a weird fact to even bring up here. He even acknowledged that Twitter believed that there was a very good chance Elon would attempt to terminate the deal, and as a result, attempted to negotiate a deal that would be almost impossible to escape from. So that is a really interesting point here. And that's something that we've seen. I mean, there's no due diligence clause. As we'll see in just a minute, there's no clause about loss of leadership or things like that. So that puts Elon in a much worse situation than I think a lot of people believe. But we're going to get to the big bombshell in just a minute. Savitt contends that Twitter's concerns were well-founded as he shares screenshots from the billionaire's tweets at various stages of the deal, arguing that Elon never intended to buy the company but instead sought to cause litigation in which Twitter would be forced to publicly disclose embarrassing information about the company's fake accounts problem. So this is interesting because embarrassing information about the company's fake accounts problem means that it's not true. What they've been saying is not true, which is really interesting. Also, these memes, I think it's a little over the top to say he wasn't being serious. This is Elon. If you look back over time, he does this stuff all the time. So, just having this kind of information here does not, in my mind, indicate that he wasn't being serious about it. He's just having fun. And I did an entire episode, so check it out. I did an episode on Elon Musk's sense of humor and how important it is to his disruptive, capabilities. Anyway, Savitt's complaint gives the impression that Elon Musk hasn't been acting in good faith, just as Ringler's letter gave the impression Twitter was holding back information and data from Musk's team. It is clear from Savitt's complaint that Twitter was withholding certain user data and financial information from Musk as they did not trust him. So this is also interesting. They were withholding information. Whether or not you trust somebody, if you're going to make a deal with them, that's interesting. It doesn't make much sense to spend time discussing these issues in any detail until Musk's lawyers have had a chance to respond to this complaint. Who knows when that'll happen? I expect probably within the next day or two. Then we get to the bombshell. The real elephant in the room is the $13 billion in debt promised by Morgan Stanley Senior Funding Incorporated and other lenders in the debt commitment letter dated April 25th. Elon's equity agreement with X Holdings, which is the company that's actually set up to purchase Twitter, not Elon Musk personally, but X Holdings, and I think there's 3 of them. Anyway, is contingent on the lender's issuance of the debt to the company. So this is an important point right here. If for any reason Morgan Stanley refuses to fund, Elon is no longer obligated to provide the additional $33.5 billion in equity to close the transaction. Savitt claims that Morgan Stanley cannot refuse to fund the deal. That's a really interesting statement there. That's basically saying they're legally obliged to provide $33.5 billion. That's not sure about the legal standing of that. Again, not a lawyer here, so I'm just going off this, from a layman's point of view, I guess, here. Anyway, importantly, in this context, Savitt seems to admit in the complaint that Morgan Stanley might disagree. In arguing that Twitter has given more financial information than they were required to provide to Musk, Savitt lets it slip that Morgan Stanley has the right to request that information to facilitate their diligence process. So Elon Musk may have said he may have sacrificed due diligence, but Morgan Stanley has not sacrificed due diligence. So that's an interesting thing. Presumably a process without a point if they have no ability to back out of the commitment, which makes complete sense. If they're legally obligated, then it makes no difference whether they do due diligence or not. So anyway, rather interesting stuff we get into. So, okay, continuing on. Later in the complaint, Savitt reveals that around June 23rd, Twitter became concerned that the debt from Morgan Stanley was not, in fact, secured. He explains that Musk informed Twitter that he needed certain financial information to secure the debt. As clear as day signaled that funding was not secured. Continuing on here, Savitt explains that the data Musk was asking for would have been needed well in advance of close and before approaching ratings agencies, which is a key first step in consummating debt financing. In the complaint, Savitt reveals that Twitter was so concerned that the debt commitment had fallen through that their lawyers began calling Morgan Stanley and the other lenders for more information, calls that seemed to piss off Elon Musk as he sent Twitter CEO a text message telling him to get his lawyers to stop causing trouble. At the end of the day, if Morgan Stanley and the other lenders aren't willing to fund, any request for specific performance would be pointless. Elon Musk has zero duty to fund this deal beyond $33.5 billion. And I'm not sure, this may be a mistake in this article, because I think he's committed something like $13 billion or 12 or something like that. So I think it actually means beyond the 12 or so billion dollars he's put up, and the other $33.5 billion are from funding sources. Anyway, and that funding is 100% contingent on Morgan Stanley's debt. Without that, there is no deal. So could this be easy? Only time will tell. So, and let's see, one more page here. Finally, as I have previously noted, I believe that the market's correction made it very clear that Elon was paying too much for Twitter, way too much, and that was really, really obvious immediately after it happened. And I think he's looking for any excuse not to close. As a result, I'll wait to predict how the court will rule until I've read Elon's lawyer's responses. While I'm in favor of a transaction whereby Elon would become the owner of Twitter, I just can't see one coming together presently. Okay. So a lot of stuff to unpack here. Number one, there are people on YouTube who are predicting that this is a slam dunk for Elon Musk. I think there's a kind of naive point of view about the U.S. legal system. A lot of these people are from outside of the United States, and I think that there's a sense in which the legal system is based on the right and wrong of people. The legal system in the United States really is not based on right and wrong. It's more based on who has the best contracts, certainly in this kind of case, and a lot of times who has the most money. So in that case, I think that they're on kind of equal standing because both of them are worth billions of dollars. And so they can throw ridiculous amounts of money. Both of these legal teams are like top notch. So that's one thing, but it's not a slam dunk for Elon Musk. The Delaware Court of Chancery is very, very business oriented. That's the reason why most corporations in the U.S. are incorporated in the state of Delaware, because they have a very, very strong legal system protecting corporations. So that's another factor in this. Another factor in this whole thing is that the Delaware Court of Chancery, if they say something like, because what Twitter wants is Elon Musk to actually purchase Twitter. They don't want him to pay X number of dollars to get out of this as a punitive sort of thing. They want him to buy the company. And there's no way, you can't force somebody to do something like that. You can make Elon Musk pay a big fine, right? They could say you're going to have to pay $20 billion fine for not going through with this, but you can't force somebody to purchase a company. So the Court of Chancery is going to be in a really, really iffy situation here. They could potentially get into really big trouble and lose a lot of legal standing and actually become less of the place where everybody wants to incorporate. So that puts them in some danger too. So that's another party involved in this whole thing that is actually in danger due to this lawsuit as well. And then the last part of this puzzle is that Twitter, regardless, they're talking about embarrassing revelations of data and things like that. But the most embarrassing revelation would be if they have to go to court and they have to publicly reveal records that state all of this stuff. So they could have told Elon Musk privately and given him this information, which they say they've done. I don't know. But at any rate, if this lawsuit goes through, Twitter is going to have to publicly lay out everything. So Elon Musk really doesn't give a crap about his own personal stuff, right? If they put poop emojis in the lawsuit, which they literally have put a poop emoji in the lawsuit, that What does Elon Musk care? Twitter cares a lot more about the stuff that they're going to have to reveal in a lawsuit. And then the Delaware Court of Chancery is also going to care a lot about the potential legal ramifications or business ramifications. I don't know quite how to put that, but anyway, they don't want to have their Court of Chancery put into question by this lawsuit, because the whole Delaware incorporation thing kind of depends at heart on the fact that the legal system is very, very strong and very regulated and very, it's very clear what the consequences of things are going to be. So there's a lot of parties here that really don't want this to go to court. And that is what ultimately gives Elon Musk a leg up in this entire process. It's much less about whether he's right or wrong and whether the contract says one thing or the other. And again, for people who think that the legal system in the United States is about right and wrong, you're absolutely not correct. It should be about that. And ultimately, people say that it's about that, but it's really about who has the best contracts and who has the money. So that's what it comes down to in the United States. And I believe that that's true in many other countries, but I don't have the insight into that. So the sad reality is that that's the case. But anyway, the money situation is very well taken care of. Everybody and all the parties involved have more than enough money to fight this thing out for years. Another factor, that I should have put in there is just the timeline for Twitter. Twitter loses every single day that something doesn't happen. The stock market's going to punish them. The upper, administration of the company is going to leave. Very good workers are going to leave. Anybody who, it's like rats leaving a sinking ship, right? As soon as this thing went out, people were like, oh crap, I'm leaving. If you're good, high quality, you can vacate, which means that Twitter will be a shell of itself, perhaps already, but certainly by 6 months from now. So the longer this thing stretches out, the worse it is for Twitter. The only one that it doesn't really hurt that badly is Elon Musk. Ultimately, the worst thing that will happen to him is that he'll have to pay, I guess, up to $44 billion for punitive damages. Again, I don't believe that the Court of Chancery can force him to purchase the company ultimately, but he could have to pay damages up to the cost, and gosh, maybe even more. But that could be years and years and years, and appeals and appeals and appeals. And by that time, Twitter will be dead. Like if they take that long, it's going to kill the company. So he is in a very, very good situation here. The Court of Chancery in Delaware is in a bad situation. This puts him in a precarious situation, and Twitter obviously in a bad situation. So I think that everybody involved is going to want this thing settled out of court. I don't know what the final price will be, but I think at this point, it seems like Elon Musk is not so hot on buying Twitter anymore. Probably this was an impulse buy that he shouldn't have done. I know the whole free speech thing, but if that's what you really, really believe, start your own social media company. It would have been a lot cheaper and a lot less stress for him. So anyway, I think that my personal opinion is Elon Musk was a little impulsive in offering so much money to Twitter. He has since then had buyer's remorse, but also, there are things about Twitter that are not kosher about that, but that he's probably not happy about that and probably wants to back out of the deal. So ultimately that is what he wants. What Twitter wants is just some way of saving face and continuing the company. And what Delaware wants is they want this case to go away. So I think given the fact that Elon probably doesn't want to buy Twitter anymore, and the other two parties really probably don't want this to go to court for a number of reasons, it probably won't go to court, and there will be some undisclosed amount of money that Elon Musk will pay Twitter, and things will relatively settle out. We will see. Anyway, that's my very non-legal opinion, right? Again, not a lawyer, don't know that much. I'm just trying to talk common sense here and a little bit of knowledge about how the legal system works in the United States. So anyway, I'll be interested to know what you all think about this. I have a much more interesting video that's going to be coming out tomorrow about transformers and how they really, really matter to full self-driving. So that'll get super geeky. So if you're looking for that, just stay tuned and we'll get to that. In the meantime, everybody have a lovely day. Bye-bye.